Cuba Libre. How we doing, Brian?
Cuba Libre. How's it going, Daryl? Good to see you again.
Good, man. Hey, guys, I got Brian Anderson here. He's a online lead generation expert. He's created, 7 figures plus over the years in his businesses. And basically he's coming on today to kind of share a story a little bit about how he's doing that, how he became an expert author, speaker, coach, consultant. He's done the gamut. Him and I are speaking a little bit earlier today about how he was growing his business, and he was sharing me some tips and tricks. So I just wanted to bring him out to you guys in the network to hear Brian. Brian, what is your story, man? Where did you come from? You're born in Turkey?
Yeah, I grew up in a military family, Daryl, and my dad was stationed during Vietnam in Turkey, and I was born in Turkey on an Army base, and I moved back to the U.S. briefly at age 2, and then we went back to Japan. We went to Okinawa. And eventually I came back to the U.S. full-time around age 8. But I did spend the first few years in Europe and Asia. And I grew up a military brat, so to speak, on various bases around the East Coast. And I went to high school in Florida, went to college, undergrad at Florida State. And that was the beginning of, I call it the early stages, and got out like a lot of people. And I ended up, I had done ROTC. I was going in the Army, but Clinton was doing this thing, if you remember back then, called they're rifting officers out of service. And they basically allowed 1 out of every 2 of us to not kind of go active duty. So I ended up taking a civilian job, and I worked for the state government. And then I was like, oh, this is horrible. I couldn't handle it. It wasn't my thing. And I ended up going to grad school at Notre Dame. And after that, I moved to Atlanta in 97.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been in Atlanta, the suburbs, if you will, since 97.
Cool.
So started working for big companies. You like a lot of people, big company, got laid off via email once in the late 90s, smaller company.
Laid off via email?
Yeah, Xerox. I worked for Xerox briefly,
Wow.
about a year and a half. And they got rid of 10,000 of us with 1 email. It was pretty crazy.
Email. It's just a click of a button. They're like, you're off. You just get an email.
I'm gone. Go to HR.
Wow.
But they treated they treated everybody other than that well with the exit, so it was fine. But no, so I started working at smaller and smaller tech companies, and money went up, responsibility went up, and I realized I liked the smaller company a lot more than the bigger company personally. And 96, like a lot of people, I wanted to make extra money. I had done a little bit 94 to 96 online marketing, and this is pre-real website stuff. This was AOL, if you will, and CompuServe. And then in 96, I started doing web development and SEO, so to speak, for a dentist who happened to be my roommate's dad. And from there, what else I did? I ended up building up a lot of local clients, by chance, by random happenings, by networking groups. And over the years, I ended up with like 260 of them, in over the time. And eventually I sold that off to a company I knew, a tech company, and they bought the income stream. And I kind of went back, a small company as a equity owner. And I stayed a year and a half. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I got to be 100% on my own, not just a minority owner. And so then I went full-time again the second time back in 2009, and I never, and I've just been building my business ever since. Mm-hmm. So kind of a weird.
I know that was all really easy to do all that stuff you've done, right?
Yeah, it was really easy. Yeah. No, like a lot of people, I struggled and I failed and didn't work very well. And
what was a low point as an entrepreneur on that whole road?
Before, probably my lowest of low points was, before I went full-time, I was a VP. I got promoted to VP at this company, and a small software company. I go on my honeymoon. I go to get married. I'm in right near Necker Island. I'm in St. John. Mm-hmm. I'm on the beach. I took, I saved up vacation. You know how it goes. And I was off for like 3 weeks. I come back, refreshed and ready to hit the ground running. And I found out I had been laid off right after I got promoted while I was on vacation.
Wow.
And while I was on my honeymoon. So that was probably
was it an email? Did you get an email or was
this was a voicemail. They tried to call me. I'm on my honeymoon in the Caribbean. I didn't, cell phones weren't as big. I didn't even bring it. And No, that was definitely my low point. But other than that, I had, before I quit my full-time job, I had built up about 6K a month of recurring revenue the first time. And so, I was able to grow from there, and I didn't make that much more than that. And so it worked well.
So hold on a second there. Yeah. So let's slow down, because a lot of people, 6K is that's life-changing opportunity.
It was the ability. It allowed me to quit my job. So yeah, it was. I agree for anybody out there. I mean, I had a master's degree and I only made a tad more than that. And I'm like, oh, this is for the birds. I'm not sitting in Atlanta traffic anymore. I'm like, I'm doing my own thing. And I did, but I ended up, from there, I got it up to about 35K a month. So I took it from 6 to 35K before I sold out. And I'll tell you, I didn't do, you always have this dream of this, Daryl, this fancy that you're gonna like sell your business and make millions, Mm-hmm. And I would have been happy with $2 or $3 million, but I got less than that. I didn't have my books in order. I didn't have contracts done right. So when they valued how many clients I had and how much money I was bringing in, they didn't give me as much as I would have liked to have received. But I got equity in another company that ended up, a software company that ended up, paying me out pretty well in the future. So it was good. But I would say, for anybody that thinks they're going to exit, be very careful on how you structure everything, your books, your contracts with your clients. The looser everything is, the easier it is for a potential buyer to just discount everything you've done and say, well, that's not good. It doesn't work. We can't do that. And then all of a sudden you're like, geez, it's almost like you think you're selling your house for $250, and all of a sudden after all the fees you're getting $190. One of those kind of gigs. Yeah. And, it was crazy, but no. So I did that and learned a lot in the process. But I'll tell you, since 2009, when I've kind of done it, I guess it's 8 years now, doing it again, I've done such a better job in terms of structure, average deal size. My average deal was a lot lower before, because I would blame myself. I probably lacked a little bit of confidence in terms of what I was charging, in terms of not only what I charged, but what I would offer and structure. For me, it was like, oh yeah, let me just get some money coming in, right? Yeah. And a lot of people probably feel that way. Now I'm a lot more selective. I don't typically do, $150. Somebody says $150. I'm like, no, thank you. You know what I mean? It doesn't really fit. And a lot of people have gotten that way, but you gotta understand, when I build up a couple hundred clients at those small numbers, it was still good money. And, it was my first real entrepreneurial experience that I had built a sizable income. And to me, it was amazing. It was the best thing since sliced bread and peanut butter. But this time around, average deal size is, 3 to 5 times higher. I have nice little contracts, even though they have the ability to cancel, but everybody has a contract. All my books are in order, all my bookkeeping, my merchant accounts. It would be easy for somebody to come in and buy me this time and just truly take over with minimal pain. And that was one of my biggest takeaways the first time, is I didn't do a good job. I didn't know what I didn't know, so to speak. So, matter of fact, John Suso has been helping me lately on some.
John, amazing guy.
John, yeah, great guy.
Yeah, amazing.
So I'm meeting him tomorrow. Funny enough.
Hi, John. How you doing, brother?
Yeah.
So John's actually the thread that linked me and Brian together. We first so we were enjoying some Cuba Libres on the beaches in Cuba. And we're basically sitting back, and got a chance to know Brian through John. And John's an amazing entrepreneur, businessman, and a father, and is a great individual. So I was really pleased to get a chance to meet with Brian. And funny thing was, we didn't even talk business and know each other than just having some beers at the bar there.
It was a real laid back. It was a phenomenal experience, you guys. For anybody listening, what would you describe it as, Daryl? Like a entrepreneur travel group. And we did a conference in Havana, and we definitely did
education,
4 or 5 days of education and workshops. But in the afternoon, we did more cultural exploration. Went out to dinner, and obviously Daryl and I and a few of the guys went out and got a few beers at night. Yeah. They were pushing these things down there called Cuba Libres, which Daryl just mentioned, which is really a glorified rum and Coke.
Yeah, it's a Havana club.
And lots of sugar, though, and I'm not really a big sugar guy. in my drink, and it was different. It was a whole different experience.
Yeah.
But, I felt it was safer than drinking the water. So for what it's worth.
Absolutely. It was safer than the water. That was for sure. But yeah, and that's the part of it is just one of the things about being an entrepreneur is you get around like-minded people, like Brian and myself, like John, and John brought just amazing group of entrepreneurs together, and him and Paul both. And it was just awesome to get a chance to have that experience. And I mean, right now I'm about to fly out to California, spend a couple of days with a crazy marketer called Frank Kern, and it's about just being around people like that help you take you to the next level. And Brian, what are some of the things that you've done in business to help you take your business up to that next level?
Sure. Actually, funny enough, I spent a weekend with Frank back in 2010 or 11 and got a lot of value out of it. I took a lot of what I learned in that weekend and kind of built it into my business. So some of the things I've learned, a lot of it is poise and confidence, you guys. Nobody knows what you know or don't know. It all comes down to, what cards you show, so to speak. And remember, you're the expert, not somebody else. So for me, I started with a digital agency, and then I started doing training with other marketers. And so I was really comfortable on the digital agency side. And I'll be honest, when I first started doing training, I'd get uncomfortable on webinars, just like anybody. I didn't know. And, it took me a while, and the reality set in that it was all me. The only roadblock was myself. And I realized that if I just treated it conversationally and tried to say, what if each person on the call was a personal friend of mine, a good friend? How would I help them? What can I do that would be the right thing? And it ended up not bothering me. The first time you have 100 people or even 500, or sometimes we've had 2,000 or 3,000 people live on a call, it's a crazy experience because you see all the chat going down the side so fast you can't even read it. And so poise and confidence was big probably early on. But beyond that, I started looking for ways to scale. So instead of doing, like you and I were talking this morning, instead of doing one-to-one, I was looking for ways to do one-to-many. And let me give you an example. In my local business, instead of selling to like an attorney, Daryl, or a doctor, I started targeting franchises. Same reason. I mean, I didn't get as much, like I wasn't making $1,000 or $2,000 per client. I'd only typically make $400 to $600, but typical franchise would have 100+ locations. And I would offer tiered pricing that the first 25, if I have 25, everybody pays this, 50, they pay this. So I went from, 40, 45 clients to 200 again because of 2 franchises. I still have them, a retail footwear franchise based out of California with 111 or 12 locations. And I work with a very well-known commercial alarm company franchise. And I'll tell you, for anybody listening, I spoke at their national conference, their franchisee convention, and I didn't sell anything. All I did is provide value and help. And I had a little booth at the back of the room, no pressure. Everybody came up because they had this fear of being left behind and missing out. And I let everybody sign up at that event at a amazing deal that I had negotiated with the marketing lady if I did sign people up at corporate. And that exploded my business. So going to one-to-many allowed me to have one sales cycle that got me lots of deals instead of having to fight it out with people all the time for one deal. And so my income from just the one retail client is over $35K a month on one client. And the best thing about it is I get paid by all the individual franchisees, not the franchisor, not the corporate entity. So if one person quits, it doesn't cut the whole business out from under me. And I'll tell you, on the other side, I make more at the alarm company, but there's less locations, and I get paid one check. I always have a fear that a new marketing VP is going to come in and cut me. And as long as I add value and I continue to build rapport and provide analytics and reporting, that's all the clients want. For those of you that are engaged with local clients or even online clients, at the end of the day, people want to know they're getting value for what they hire you for. And if you can deliver value, you won't go anywhere. And I focus on that now. I focus heavily on reporting, communication, analytics, because I want people to know what they're paying for and realize this is kind of cool. And this is something that would truly help them. And if they lost this, I want them to have that fear of missing out or that fear of loss. So I would say the scaling, to answer your specific question, scaling up by going one to many. Now, another thing I did is I realized about 4 years ago, Daryl, that I struggled and my team struggled getting new clients. We did what a lot of people did. We were involved in the chamber, networking, did a little typical local kind of sales, right? But then I realized I couldn't get, if you think of a sales funnel, I didn't have enough opportunities at the top, that were, let's call them vaguely warm, right? And then they come down in a funnel. I didn't have enough people at the top that I would get enough deals out of the bottom. And it was like, well, shoot, I got 4 deals right now, or 4 opportunities. I better close one of them or 2 of them. It'd be a lot better if I had 15 or 20 deals or 50 at the top. And then I go through and I work them and we're going to close more. So that kind of started me down the evolution of what we do now with our SaaS platform, Voice Drops, which is prospecting at the top of the funnel and giving you the at-bat, so to speak, the opportunity to close more deals. Because it's not me alone. Over the last 8 to 10 years, talking to other marketing agency owners, the reality is most people struggle in this. And I do a lot of webinars and, kind of like you, and I hear it all the time. The biggest area of concern is, how do I get more clients? What do I do to get clients? I can't seem to get anybody to bite. So I went to a model where I gave myself more at bats. I didn't have to be perfect every time. And I'll admit it, that first couple conversations I have, even now, they won't be perfect. By the 3rd or 4th one, as I'm talking to new prospects that call in. So what we do for anybody listening is we actually email a voicemail. You think of it as an email. We send a voicemail out to businesses' phones without calling them. And if they're interested, they call back. So we send enough out so we get 5, 10, maybe 15 calls a day from people that want to know more about what we do. And so when they call in, at first I thought I had to be perfect, Daryl. I'm like, I got to close this guy. I mean, here's a lead. It's hot. This is phenomenal. I went from that mindset to, all right, let me provide value on the call. Let me share what we're doing. Let me show how it'll help the customer. And I'll follow up a few times. And the real key I've learned is I need a lot of top of the funnel opportunities, because I'm going to close 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 7. And out of those, I need to follow up all the time, not either me or my team. And so we've created some email follow-ups, but it has to be more than email. I drop a phone call in, et cetera. It's like multi-step follow-up. And the more I follow up, the higher I close. And that gets me a much better close rate. So for anybody that says, hey, I need more clients, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you sell coaching, if you work with local clients, if you do online marketing. At the end of the day, you need more opportunities at the top so that you can follow up with them and you're going to get more sales. And
so Brian, real quick, so I want to just kind of recap a lot of that, because you laid down just so many gold nuggets real quick. The first of all is you got in front of your target market. You did a live presentation, which you shared exactly what you just provided value. So you provided all the value up front. And when you provided the value, then all of a sudden you got swarmed with opportunity, right?
Yeah, I was literally in a room at their conference, Daryl, in front of, call them 100 to 200 people, and all of them were owned individual franchises for this brand. And I just taught and trained and shared. I made no offer. I said, if you're interested in talking more about if it possibly could help your business, we've got a little booth at the back. I'd love to chat with anybody interested. And swarmed is an understatement. I'm so glad I brought one person with me. We were like 3 and 4 deep of people wanting to know if they could sign up and how much it would cost. It was like a dream of dreams. For anybody watching, I have a video of it, and I'll post in one of my groups, or Daryl, if you're interested. I have a video of the presentation, and I have a video. I think somebody took some stills or a video of all these people surrounding us. I'd never seen that in my life, and I'd never. I'm not the best sales guy of all time, but if you're in front of people that want to listen and are eager for help in an area, and it was very non-threatening, and it was at their private exclusive conference, they felt like they could open up and talk to me and trust me. And that's what happened. And so the reality is,
what type of conference was it? What type of conference was it?
So I'm selling digital marketing into local businesses. This was a conference, an annual. So imagine, let me make something up. Imagine your Meineke mufflers or something, right? Or Mako, or some kind of company that's a name brand where people buy as a franchisee.
Okay, so it was a business franchise around, let's say, car things.
Yeah, in this one, this was actually shoes, like shoe stores.
Shoes, okay.
But
the point I want to get to is you're not going to speak to a digital marketing conference or talking about internet marketing to a big
Such
conference,
a good point, Daryl.
right? And I think one of our mutual friends, Matt Bazak, would agree about you want to go to the one-eye blind man. Yeah,
you're right. If you go to a conference where it's all internet marketer or digital experts, you're one of many, and most people are like, I know that. Yeah, whatever. I knew that already. But when you speak to hotels, I remember we were chatting the other day about hotel industry, or you're speaking to more of a traditional market. I don't care if it's attorneys, doctors, chiropractors, dentists, retail stores. It's different. They're experts in what they do. They're not experts in what you or I do. And it's a completely different conversation. You will feel like a mini rock star for about 2 or 3 hours. It's a great feeling, and they actually clamor to learn more. It's the same thing as doing it at the chamber. The difference is these people flew in from around the country or the world in this case to come to this annual meeting, and most franchises do an annual meeting like this. And if you can get on the docket to speak or present, you'll find the opportunity. It's a very rich environment.
Yeah. So again, the key point is you already had some relationships in that franchise industry.
I had one relationship at this company. I used that. I parlayed that to get a spot to speak, paid my own way out, and I didn't ask for anything. And the relationship allowed me to get the panel spot, if you will. I was on a panel, and then I got an hour session. And, you just get FaceTime. I sat at lunch with them the day before. I think I spoke on day 2. So people had seen me around. They didn't know anything about me other than the one person I knew. And he did a good job introducing me around. But until I got up there and talked, and I gave real concrete examples of exactly how it could transform their local store and have a benefit, no one really cared. But once they started to get it and the light bulb went off, it was great. And on the same token, it changed my own business from a one-to-one to a one-to-many sales opportunity, and it blew my business up. And then when I got the second one, literally just 2 months later, it was like,
is this the second speaking engagement?
Second speaking engagement.
And how much would you say you brought in from doing one speaking engagement, and how many people roughly was? I know you don't know exactly.
I don't want to do pie in the sky on here, but I can be honest. That was in May of 2012, the retail store. So we're coming up on 5 years. I still have almost all the clients. I've lost a handful. I would say I have 90% of them still here. I'm over 100 clients. They pay between $350 and $600 a month each. So think about it, guys. $30,000 plus a month for 5 years.
For an hour worth of speaking.
Yeah, well, fly out, talk for an hour, sign them up. And the best part about it is the work that we do is, I don't want to say easy, but it's not as challenging as other stuff we may do. And it's a little bit cookie cutter, so that it's the same thing for each of them in different markets. So we're able to leverage the same stuff. If I could have 1 or 2 more of these, it would be.
That's an every month. That's an every month paycheck that's coming in as well.
Yeah. It's
your side too.
So best part about it is it's just a merchant account. It just triggers on the merchant account. And I've had like virtually no chargebacks in 5 years. I've had a couple bounce and their card was declined, but in the grand scheme, it's been hands-free income for a number of years.
Yeah.
And that's on the brick and mortar on the agency side.
Mm-hmm. So that's the $30K from one speaking engagement, and then you did multiple speaking engagements after that. You didn't just stop.
No, I did another one at a commercial alarm company, same year. No, that's not true. I did it. It was April of 13 out in Tucson. Matter of fact, one of my members of my list, so to speak, met me there, and she was kind enough to film that event and help me out. And by no means did, I didn't sign up 100 people, but I signed up like 17 or 18 at that one. Same thing, one opportunity, signed up multiple deals, and the deal size was a lot bigger. And it felt better because it was a higher dollar sale, and it was a more it was a large. The businesses are larger. You know what I mean? The commercial alarm company is probably doing 2 to 3 times the revenue of these little retail stores. So they had more money to spend. They've done more one-off work that's even outside of our contract here and there, and it's truly it's been very good. I've been blessed. I've been very lucky. So
Absolutely. So again, the whole thing about this, guys, is creating an opportunity that's not just going to get you paid once, but it's going to get you paid over and over again. So here you are, you created an opportunity that's, you've leveraged now, and you've produced multiple 6 figures, over the course of a year from just a few speaking engagements. So when you kind of look back at opportunities, and if you're an author, speaker, coach out there, you're, I couldn't sell to more people. And the question, you'd ask is like, how? Before that, Brian, you were just doing like one-to-one like sales and stuff. And now you've got a system in place that's almost like, I look at it as like leads on demand. I mean, you got a chance to come down and speak to Matt Bazak and the Profit Coalition 2 weeks ago now, roughly. And, we got a chance to hear from you and what you're doing. And it was just like mind blowing, just the numbers and how you're helping people. And again, it's all about just connecting that message with the right person. So can you kind of dive into a little bit of that and what you're doing there?
Sure. So in 2012, kind of simultaneously, so just once again on my side, I have a digital agency called Media Mash, and then I have some training programs, but I have a SaaS platform called Voice Drops. And originally it had a different name, and I kind of evolved it over the last couple of years. But the whole goal was to get prospects at the top of the funnel. I started out with robocalling kind of stuff, everybody, and it was effective. I didn't like it, felt a little, it didn't feel very good. But as a result, I had lots of conversations. Then go from that to a model about 2 years ago where we don't actually dial the number. We, in essence, take a voicemail. So I'll use, see if my mic will, I've got a Yeti mic, and I just, very inexpensive. Anybody can pick one up for under $100. I record a message. I then take my list, target list, like let's say I was trying to market to chiropractors, and I would then send that voicemail directly to their phone without calling them. And the beauty of that is I didn't disturb them. The ones that are interested will call me back. The ones that aren't interested will never call me again. And that's okay. And I'm okay with that. And on a given day, my team and I will speak to 5, 10, 15 people, more if we want. We could have, like you said, leads on demand. We can have as much as we want, but we realize the key is the flow of leads, but the follow-up as well. And the key is when you're putting those into your system, your tracking tool. We use a product called Pipe Drive. And all we do is we follow up and follow up. And the more you follow up, they were interested the first time, but you gotta, it's rare that somebody says, oh, please, Brian, let me sign up on the call right now. It sounds really good on a call, but typically what happens is you follow up a couple times and that's it. We send a proposal and we follow up on the proposal, and then typically some percentage will sign up. And so that's been our business model. So we use on the front end the same platform that we sell to our members, we use every single day. Matter of fact, so 1 or 2 of the members of the group, the Profit Coalition, actually one of them used it yesterday, had pretty good success. Another one's doing one in a few days, but I've been working with some of that team. And the net is most people struggle with sales. Most people struggle with getting enough opportunities. And if you could somehow only talk to people that called you, heck of a lot. I'd rather answer a phone call than have to dial for dollars. And if you answer the phone call, there's a shift. There's a mindset shift on the call. The person is calling you to find out more as opposed to you interrupting their day. And when they call you, they may not be begging to sign up, but they're somewhat interested or curious or intrigued by what you're doing. And that's your opportunity to, go ahead and get their email, tell them more about what you do. If it isn't a good time to speak right now, set up a time where you can kind of have a more in-depth conversation. And little things like that, you will blow your pipeline up. And anybody listening, you could be the worst sales guy or sales gal of all time, and that's okay because it's a numbers game. You always hear that. It's a numbers game. And traditional, when you go one-to-one, the numbers are too small. But if you can go one-to-many, it's okay if you flub a few of them and they don't go well because there's always a next one. And that's been the catalyst, Daryl, that's changed everything we do. We don't stress out about lead generation. We constantly have an influx of qualified leads. And we work them, we follow up, and we add new revenue. And our attrition's fairly low. We try to do a good job. And that's it. That's how we're growing. That's how we're growing our business.
So to break it down Barney style, you've got a message that goes out, and I would check my phone, and I'd be like, oh, voicemail. And I listen to the message, and it's a small ad of some sort to give a call back about some kind of product or service or whatever it is.
Exactly. Now, one thing we do is we don't like to sell in the message. We like to leave them a little bit curious and get them to call back. The whole goal of the message is to get a call back.
Yeah, it's not to sell the product.
Then you can talk.
Get the call back.
Yeah, so you want about 25 to 35 seconds long. And remember, there's no uncomfortable feeling, you guys, because you're not actually speaking to them. You record it once, you send it out. The ones that want to learn more, like I see David Hebert on this call right now, and David has a carpet business. Very successful carpet business and a network of other carpet companies. So David could send a message out to those carpet companies, and it could be a little open-ended in getting them to call back. Or that's his warm market, so to speak. He could also go, he's up in Boston, he could say, I don't know, a neighboring town to Boston, like Framingham or Leominster. He could get a list of businesses that he wanted to target, take that list, and send the message, whatever that message is. And we do a lot of split testing to figure out what works and what doesn't. And we send that message out, and David will get some callbacks. If David gets 12 callbacks and he closes 1 out of every 5 or 6 is about average, then that's 2 new deals he got. Sure, he had to follow up, took a few days, but that's how you grow your business. I mean, that's how you go from working kitchen table or part-time while you're moonlighting to full-time to staff. Like, we've got 2,500 square feet here. We've got a nice sized team, and we do this all over. And it's not rocket science for everybody watching.
And I remember you shared with us at the meeting last week about how you helped somebody. They were like, "Oh, just send all the people. We can handle it all."
Yeah. So we had a guy. I won't name who. Somebody that some of you guys will know. He is very, very big in a speaker space. Very big. And we took a list of, 30 or 40,000 of his past clients, right? So we took this list and we sent it out. I wanted to drip it out over the course of 2 weeks. He was adamant that we would do it all at once. So he had 2, he's like, I got 2 people. We can take any callbacks. He got 900 calls the first day. We did a call tracker just to see how the results were. So I don't care if you have 2 people or 10 people, 900 calls is way too
many. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like a Marine Corps fire for effect, right? It's like,
yeah, it's exactly
everything you got.
Exactly what it was.
Fire to the muster.
Man, he couldn't do a thing, Daryl. I mean, he was blown away. He laughed. He's like, all right, next time I'll do what you said.
Next time.
And I'm like, I've made the same mistake. When I had
let's pause for a second, guys. If you're hiring an expert, listen to what the expert has to say, right? It's like,
I probably made that mistake before.
Because they have an expert on doing whatever that thing is. So back in the day with my Marines, I would always go to them. I'd be like, all right, so I'm the officer. I'm in charge of whatever it is, the project or whatever we're doing, the mission. And I go to them. I'd be like, all right, I'd ask them for input on whatever we were doing. You know, I would if they wanted to point the machine gun in a certain direction, I'd be like, all right, guys, why do you want to do that? And I would get their feedback on whatever that was. And I would make the decision at that point whether I was going to point the machine gun that way or going to point it down the other way. But the point is you always want to ask the experts on, what it is they're looking at.
No, it's key. And you know what? The only reason I knew that wasn't a good idea is I made the same mistake before. And, just like you guys, you probably know a little bit more about, for those of you that do digital marketing for clients, you probably know a little more than your client. Now, sometimes your client's going to try to tell you what's right and what's wrong, and there's a fine art of listening and then providing advice and giving counsel, so to speak. But no, listen to the expert, whoever that he or she may be. It's very important that you do that, and you'll save yourself a lot of time. That's the whole point of paying somebody, is that you're getting that advice. But all too often, we all think we know everything. Daryl, case in point, I talked to Matt Basak, for anybody listening, about subject lines. And Matt's like, well, you got to test. I'm like, yeah, I test 2 every time. Matt's like, no, bro, that's like 10. And so now when I test these scripts, when I send out scripts, I always test 8, 10, 12 scripts. And one thing I do is I ask the members on our platform to help me, because I've decided that it needs to be geographically dispersed amongst different people to see what really does resonate the best. And that's what we do. And we do so much testing. So I would say no matter what you do, whether it's sales or some other process, test, test, test. Don't just think I'm really smart, I know exactly what people think or what I need to do, because I can't tell you, like 80% of the time, whatever I thought was going to be the winner is not the winner. So test, and you'll know right away. And now you'll have confidence. For those of you that sometimes lack confidence, you'll have confidence that you're moving in the right direction and that you're doing it right. And when you're more confident, if you're talking to a prospect, they can feel and hear that, and you're more likely to close that client, no matter what client it is. So
that's so true. And I know we got a bunch of people online right now. If you guys have questions and stuff like that, feel free to post your questions or go on. We got people in the chat box over here, David and Mark and Mona, Nadine, and on down the line. If you guys have questions, feel free to fire them in there. So Brian, what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way as being an entrepreneur? From, I look at it as there's no failure in life. There's only feedback. And what's one of the biggest, feedback lessons you've taken away? We're like, man, I wish I didn't have to do that again.
One of the mistakes I made is you want to avoid, you're not going to be successful first time every time, right? It's not going to happen. You're not going to close a client the first time you talk to them. It's very rare. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's unlikely, guys. So you have to be persistent. You have to be willing to work harder than the next guy or gal. And the whole point of being an entrepreneur is that you're going to work like crazy right now. Like today, my daughter turned 16 today. So here's my day. Right now, it's about 11 a.m. when we're doing this call. This morning, I had a meeting at 8 o'clock. I then met somebody else at 9:30. I had 2 meetings this morning. We're doing this call. I have a lunch meeting. Then I have a 2-hour afternoon client going over results with an existing client. I'm going to dinner with my family for my daughter's birthday. And I'm doing a webinar tonight. I told you about with Corey and Ira tonight at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Corey and Ira.
So I'm basically 7:30 today to about 11:30. And you may think, oh my God, that's horrible. But if you work harder than you've ever imagined you could work, and just stay the course, once you know you're on the right path, you have to stay the course. Don't give up. Don't let one setback kind of hold you up. And if you work harder than you ever could imagine and you stay the course, it's not if, it's just when. It will happen. I don't care what you're doing, what you sell, whether it's speaking, books, clients, e-com online, whether you're an internet affiliate guy, it doesn't matter. And I would say if you could do those 2 things, good things will happen. You will make money. I don't care if you're making $1,500 a month right now and you have to get to 6 figures, $8,300 a month or $10K a month. You will get there, but you have to put in the work. And once you put in the work, you'll find it gets easier later. Like for me to add clients now, it's really easy. I would say 0 to 5 or 10 clients. God, man, that's a lot harder than 100 to 125 or something. It's amazing the difference. Once you have momentum and the ball's moving, so to speak, you will find that you can make money so much easier than you ever could when you first start out. But you have to take the first steps. You can't give up. And you have to be willing to work so much harder than you ever thought. Forget all about this silliness of 4-hour work week and things like that. That's awesome. And I know that, a lot of what's said in those books are true. But until you become successful, you're an 80-hour work week. You're working harder than the next guy so that you can be better than him or her down the road. And you're working hard now so that you can do 4-hour work weeks. Like when Daryl and I went to Cuba, I mean, we literally probably did 16, maybe 20 hours of work throughout the week. And then we had a lot of free time. And my business ran while I was gone. And I went on a cruise a few weeks ago. Everything happened fine when I was gone. I mean, we brought in like 30 or 40K that week. So we're always generating revenue, whether I'm there or not. It's important, but it didn't just happen. To Daryl's point, it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't luck. It was hard work, and it was persistence and the ability to, when you fail, to get back up and keep going. And so I would say if that's all you did, if you just kind of adhered to things like that, you will find success. It may not be, multiple seven figures the first year or two, but you will make significant income if you work harder than the next guy. And for those of you that are solo, that was a big thing for me, Daryl, is going from working by myself to going with the team. So now I have office.
Let me ask you this question real quick, so I think it leads right into it. Mark Holder had a question about,
okay.
I run an agency solo right now, build it to multiple six figures in the past 6 months. I'm at the point where I should start building a team, looking for advice on how to choose the right people, first positions to fill, et cetera. Any feedback on building a team?
So yeah, it's God, what a great question, Mark. Thanks for asking that. The first time I started, I hired a salesperson first, and it sure seemed like the right idea because that would bring more revenue, right? The reality of what I needed was more of an administrative assistant. Even now, if I showed you guys, if I showed you sometimes, just how much stuff I have going on, it's crazy. Personally, I see more value in giving yourself an administrative assistant that could maybe grow into like an ops manager. In 2003, I hired a lady named Vanessa, and Vanessa is my ops manager now. And she started out as more of an assistant, and she's been here for almost 15 years. And when I first hired her, she was, just out of high school. I think she was 19 or 20. And I feel like we've known each other forever. And the difference is she enabled me Mark to scale more. I was able to get more. I knew that I was giving it all I had. And I knew if I had a little bit of help on certain things, I could bring in even more or do even better. And I needed that. And I needed that structure and infrastructure in place before I needed salespeople. And I tried it the other way the first time. I tried hiring a couple salespeople, and I was just going to give them quotas, and I was going to front some upfront draw. It didn't work out for me. I eventually got to the point where I hired a few salespeople, but that's a fine art in itself. Probably a whole call, I imagine, that Daryl has done or could do. Mm-hmm. And I would personally recommend the first person you hire some kind of administrative role that allows you to do more with your own skill set, you to get yourself even more organized and start to put systems in place. As you go from solo entrepreneur to possible team, use that administrator to allow you to do more while you document and systemize, if you will, systematize everything you have so that when you bring on somebody, they can plug into the system and actually be effective and not flounder around and waste money and waste your time and then take time away from you. It could become a total disaster. I've hired salespeople that have been a nightmare. If anything, they cost me sales. One, they didn't sell anything, but they took my time away from clients. Total nightmare. You have to create systems. It doesn't matter what they are, how complex they are. So anyway, long answer, Mark, to that, but I would start with some kind of administrative help.
That's a real diamond right there. Get the administrative help to basically do all the things that are low opportunity, income producing things for you. And then once you've created that system and can put the salesperson in place, and that makes it. So Brian, where's the best way for people to learn more about you, brother, and get into your software as a service if they wanted to get leads on demand for what they're doing?
I'm happy to set up a link. You guys, we open it up 2 or 3 times a year. I'm going to give Daryl a link later today. It'll be it's what I'll set up for him. It's voicedrops.net/Daryl. And you're welcome. You'll be able to see more about the platform. You'll be able to see how it works. You'll see some customer feedback. Daryl, I'll give you like a trial you can give out so people can just try it without having to spend money and
sure.
And, make sure it fits you guys. But at the end of the day, if you're somebody that needs more people at the top of the funnel, more prospects for your local business, your e-com business, your coaching, your internet affiliate business, it doesn't matter. This is something you should check out. It's grown. I'm at multiple 7 figures, both on the internet side and on the agency side. And I will tell you that a large part of it is solving that top of the sales funnel problem, that pipeline issue of not having enough prospects. So if that sounds like something that's plaguing you, this will do wonders for you. And I welcome helping anybody that's interested. If I can, Daryl, I'd be more than glad to.
Awesome. And David said, thanks for answering that question. He's just echoing on what you're saying for creating that hiring process, forget that admin, and concentrate on the sales process. So appreciate it, David, being here. And Brian, appreciate you being here and answering questions, man. It's awesome having you on board. We look forward to having you again soon.
No, for sure. No, thank you very much, Daryl. This is it's phenomenal. I always get nervous when Daryl says, "Hey, we're gonna do a video interview." At first, guys, I thought he meant on the phone, and then he's like, "Oh no, it's a video interview," and I'm like, "Uh-oh."
So again, the quick story about me and Brian is there. You had me smuggle some of these into the country. Do you remember that?
Daryl, so my dad's a big cigar guy, and I said, "God, there was a limit." You guys ain't gonna believe this.
I got like a whole box.
There was a limit on how many cigars you could bring back, and I'm like, Daryl, I'll buy them. I'm over my limit. Can you bring a box in and give it to me when we get back in the States? Because I wanted to give them to my dad as a gift and a business partner as a gift, and I couldn't get enough. You ain't gonna believe this. The day after we came home on a Thursday. I don't know.
I don't remember.
We came home, whatever day we came home on. The next day, the U.S. government removed the regulation on how much tobacco or alcohol you could bring from Cuba. We would have been able to bring all we wanted. It's actually
guys just some suitcases full of this stuff and left their clothes there.
Well, literally, funny enough, you say that. A lot of us left clothes to help out people that were in need. And I said, look, I got a lot of shirts in my suitcase, and I'd be more than glad to donate them. The tour guide was telling us about some of the problems, and I left a ton of shirts, and I made room for. I don't even smoke, guys. I made room for the cigars that I gave out as gifts back here to friends, colleagues, and family, etc. So anyway, what a phenomenal trip. And I would tell anybody who's listening, if you have the chance to go to live events or kind of these special kind of, we call them experience, trips that are more experiences than vacations, where it's not about laying around the whole time. It's about learning and immersing yourself in something. Honestly, absolutely phenomenal. Daryl, I will tell you that one trip generated recurring north of $75,000 a month for me from a business just like we're doing, just getting together and sharing. And I hope I help the other person that that I worked with. It's invaluable, the relationships and it's the intangibles. It's not always directly tied to money, guys. It's tied to connections. Like, I had never met Daryl, and I'm like, what a super cool guy. We went to a costume party together, and you had, were you Captain America, or you were Superman? You were, what was it?
Hold on.
He has it. How did I know he'd have it, guys? Let's see. Captain America, yes. And Daryl and I were in the lobby of the hotel. We were in our costumes. I was dressed as something, Iron Man or Superman, or I think it was Superman. And there was two little boys in the hotel that, man, all they wanted to do was put Daryl's mask on and my little shield and mask. And these kids, I took pictures with these little guys. I'm talking 5 or 6 year old little kids staying at this hotel in Cuba. They don't see a lot of North Americans, so to speak. And it was amazing. I mean, we got to do things that we normally would never have done. And it was the communication. Like, I met a couple venture capitalists. I met a financier in the Bitcoin arena that guy's doing unbelievable money. He was truly a piece of work. I learned so much just chatting with him. And we met a surgeon that was a venture capitalist. We met some other tech guys from out in Silicon Valley, a Canadian guy who was my roommate, who was just awesome.
Yeah.
And I would never have met these people, guys. And you know what? It may not be right away, but down the road, we will all cross paths. We will help each other, I suspect, in any way we can. And I like to say good goes around. And I suspect that in time, I'll be able to add value to them, and some of them will add value to me, and some of us will just be friends, and that's totally cool. And I highly recommend
Geraldo
it.
says hi, by the way. So
Who did?
Geraldo Trevino.
Hey, Geraldo, how are you? He was awesome. He was I won't get into his business. His business is amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
API business, guys. It's really intriguing what he does. So anyway, I couldn't recommend it. You hear this kind of stuff, and usually you hear it on webinars where somebody's selling you something, right? But at the end of the day, we're not here to sell you anything. I just want to see as many people as possible kind of achieve success. And there's no one recipe, right? But I know that these kind of events and experiences, they do something. They change your mindset there, maybe. They set you off down a path that maybe you hadn't thought about. And maybe it was a conversation over a beer at sunset, looking out at the ocean. And you're like, what if you do this? Somebody says, and you're like, wow, I never thought of that. Somebody asked me the other day about something, and I'm like, it's a good idea. I actually never thought about it. And little things like that will change everything you're doing. And right now, some of you are thinking about, how do I make 6 figures? How do I go to 10,000 a month even, right? All of a sudden, you'll be thinking about, how do I get to 7 figures? And then some of you at 7 figures will be thinking about, how do I get multiple 7 figures? How do I hit 5 to 10 million? And how do I exit? How do I plan on future financial success? How do I position to sell? All these things, the questions, you get answers to some problems, and all you do is you get new questions. Like now I'm looking to maintain, scale, and grow as I position for an eventual exit. I mean, I'm at one point, I'd like
to John Souza.
Yeah, and John has been amazing.
Yeah.
For those that don't know him, just an amazing guy, Wall Street investment banker. He's on his own. He's down in Atlanta, does venture cap, and just cuts right to the chase. He drills down. He'll break apart your business in minutes and show you what you have and where your weaknesses are, and you can fix it and grow. And he's helped me a lot personally. So, no, man, I love it. I love that you have the mat. Well, you had it in your office, but yeah, I actually left my costume in Cuba with the tour guide. I got rid of as much as I could out of my suitcase, making room for
I wore it to the elementary school the next week because it was Halloween, and
nice.
All the kids loved it because it has like the whole outfit, and the kids are like, "Oh my gosh, it's real Captain America's here."
Yeah. Well, it helps. You're a pretty big guy, and yeah, dude, that's hilarious, right? I made you come in, and no, I'd say the whole experience, that experience was unbelievable. But it doesn't matter what you do. I think you should get involved. For people listen, get involved in your local community. Like I told Daryl, when I was in Cuba, I was running for
ran for office.
Yeah, and I wasn't even a member of a political party when I ran for office. I had to go join the party that I ran with so that I could get on the ballot. And I ran for office to serve on the school board. I mean, it pays a couple dollars, not very much. Matter of fact, I'm even going there for a meeting today, and it's more about immersing yourself in the fabric of where you live and where you work. And guess what happens? I mean, I didn't do that to make money, but I'm making so many connections at levels that I would never have made before, Daryl. You know what I mean? It's people
absolutely.
that give me a newfound respect, or they'll listen and talk to me. Like I always said, I'd love to be able to get some cosmetic surgeons as clients. It just seemed like a really good niche. Lo and behold, I met the CEO of the hospital, and I met the chairman of the board, who's a cosmetic surgeon. I sat at his table at a hospital banquet. I'm now meeting with this guy, and these are like 5, 10, 15,000 a month kind of clients. But I wouldn't have been able to email my way to that client.
You wanted to serve and protect in your local community.
That's it.
Right.
So anyway, I get fired up and excited, and seeing Captain America's mask had me fired up. But I love it.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it, man. We'll see you back around on the flip side.
For sure. Thank you very much, Daryl. See you. Bye,
guys.
everybody. Thank you
Bye.
for being here.